So why do you think people...
And I've done it without any white platform, any white support. I've never been on Oprah's couch, and I'm just as big as anybody who's been on Oprah's couch.
Okay, gotcha.
So why do you think people, even black people, choose to cast doubt on a black man that's trying to do something positive?
Or the community?
Well, number one, for some black women who suffer from reactionary feminists, they don't like to see black men succeed, period, because they see the black man as the enemy. Feminism has conditioned a lot of black women, not all, not most, but many, to see the black man as the enemy. He must be stopped at all costs. And I also think I get some of the vicarious trauma of black women who look at me and see the husband who left them, see the baby daddy who left them, see the boyfriend who abused them. You understand me?
Yeah.
So since I'm out there and I'm prominent and psychology is my platform, I think they transfer onto me a lot of the traumatic feelings they've had for significant others in their life. I get a lot of that. You understand? For the black men, it's just pure jealousy, jealousy. And the issue with brothers is that ego. You understand? Yeah. And we got to go back to the plantation. Because one of the things that the plantation bred into African people's collective consciousness is this belief that only one of you can succeed at a time.
Only one.
See, on the plantation, the manumission laws, you let one slave go a year. Only one. So the slaves started working against each other because they knew only one or two or three, but never all. Right. So the white man was very clever and crafty in making sure that any benefits we gave to the enslaved African could only be enjoyed by a select few. This automatically make you a competitor with the people you should be collaborating with. So when people see me doing what I do because of the slave mentality, they say, if Dr. Umar's winning, nobody else can. Right. That's totally wrong. Yeah. All of us can win, and we can win at the same time if we just work together. The jealousy in the black community is largely due to this idea that the white man gave us as part of our post-traumatic slavery disease, that only one black person can win at a time. So if they see Tyler Perry with his own studio, no other black person can do it because Tyler did it. That's not true. There could be a million more black studios. Yeah. You see a black person with a new restaurant in Jackson, right?
Right.
People hate. Why? Because they did it first, so nobody else can do it. Right. But there's 100 white restaurants. There's 100 white movie studios. There you go. There's a dozen white airlines. Why is it with every other group, there can be multiple people succeeding in the same sphere of life? But with black people, we've been conditioned to believe that only one can make it. And the one who's making it is the reason you can't. That's what they taught us to believe. So that is the basis of Negro jealousy.
When do you think the disconnect came? Because it wasn't like that in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Black people were sticking together. Integration
destroyed us. Now, let me say this. I'm sick and tired of people blaming Dr. King for integration.
No.
First of all, the military integrated before Dr. King's movement ever took place. Public school integrated before Dr. King's movement ever took place. The only thing Dr. King integrated in his lifetime was public accommodations, restaurants, Greyhound, buses, hotels. That's it.
Right.
All other integration came before King and after his death. Black people got integrated because we wanted to be accepted by white people. Dr. King had nothing to do with it. What's stopping us right now in Mississippi? What's stopping us from buying 300 acres somewhere in Mississippi, leaving white society completely and building our own reality? What's stopping us in Pennsylvania from pulling out of Pittsburgh, pulling out of Philly, pulling out of Harrisburg? Fear and love of white people. Black people do not want to admit we have a deep-seated psychopathological need for white proximity, because we need white validation.
And
we don't feel right without white people around us.
The thing that I asked you the last time, I said, is there a cure? From the way you're talking, it doesn't even seem like
there is a cure for it. If you raise the children in the right mindset. There's an African proverb that says, every time you see a new baby born, that's a message from God. He's not given up yet. The problem with us is we socialize the children the same way we were socialized. So how is there going to be a different mindset when we're not deliberately controlling the educational and socialization process of black children? We are letting Negroes be born while we claim to be against Negroism.
Right.
Change the way you raise the children, or we will stay this way forever. Look at what Mao Zedong did in China. It only took him a generation. In 20 years, he took the Chinese from being almost nothing in the eyes of the world to now being the economic superpower of the planet Earth. Mao Zedong said, listen, we're not going to compete with America, France, Belgium, Germany. We're not going to compete with England. We're going to send our children all across the world, and y'all going to study and master what everybody doing. We're not going to compete. We just going to make the cheaper knockoff version of everything. And by doing that, China is now the Walmart and the dollar store of the planet Earth. Here's the brilliance of Mao Zedong. He said, listen, the white man runs off capitalism.
Right.
Overcharging, you understand? Overcharging for the product, but underpaying for its production.
Right.
Air Jordans cost $5, but we sell them for $225.
Okay.
That's capitalism. Chinese man said, wait a minute. 2/3 of the world lives on less than $1 a day. So if 2/3 of the world lives on less than $1 a day, the white man's capitalism can never rule the earth unless he does so by force, which is what he did. So the Chinese said, but we're going to cater to the poor. And so now when you go to Africa, when you go to Asia, when you go to Central and South America, the Caribbean, you see Chinese imports, because they are catering to the people who live on less than $1 a day. And so here's the question that the white man has. This is his problem. The American government's problem, France's problem, England's problem. How do you take the world off of the Chinese man's breast and umbilical cord where you're not willing to sell merchandise as cheaply as the Chinese do? The Chinese has basically made their economy almost, what's the word when you say when you can't get rid of it? It's unalienable. It's undestructible. Right. You understand me? Because no matter how much you say America can do this for you.
It's infinite.
Exactly.
That word.
No matter how much you say America can do this for you, I can buy almost anything that comes in off the Chinese boat. The quality won't be good. The food might actually cause cancer. We know the quality not good. Right. You understand me? They told me in Jamaica that the Chinese come and lay their streets and roads down, and then they say within a year they rolling up like a fruit roll-up. So we know the Chinese don't do quality, but they do make the products affordable. And that's why America can't do nothing with China.
What's your opinion on crack era versus
indispensable
opioid?
Was the word.
Indispensable. Okay. What's your opinion on the crack versus opioid era?
Well, the thing with that is when they demonized and criminalized crack back in the 80s, they decided to treat Black addicts as criminals.
Right.
It was a criminal justice approach, not a mental health approach. With these white opioid addicts, it is the exact opposite.
Oh, it's mental.
They are treated as a mental health crisis. Open air opioid use. You ain't never seen no open air crack use. You understand? That's the whole purpose of the crack house. Right. You had to hide it. You had to get off the street and smoke.
Yeah.
The opioids, they don't need an opioid house. They can do it right out on the street. Yep. And the government will even give them clean supplies and everything and so forth and health care and everything else. So that clearly shows you that what is done to black people is done on purpose because they want to get rid of us. We got to understand something. We've had 4 great periods in our existence in America under British North American rule. First, we had to fight for our humanity.
Okay, that's one.
Then we had to fight for liberty, freedom. Then we had to fight for equality.
Still fighting.
Now we in a fight for survival.
Oh, yeah.
In many ways, you could consider this fight the most dangerous of them all because never before were they interested in getting rid of you. They just needed to control you because they needed you.
Right.
But now they got so many non-blacks, so many Mexicans and Afghans and Ukrainians. Black people are no longer necessary in order for the American empire to thrive. And that's dangerous. Because what do we know of every conqueror, every dictator? Whenever they have a people that they no longer need, they come up with a campaign of extermination, which we are already under.
Yeah. Right.
But it's going to intensify in the next decade.
Now, I noticed after George Floyd, the incident and everything, all the beatings and the killings that the black people have had. Now, after that, it became the Chinese people are getting beat on the streets.
Ah.
You know, the Chinese are getting beat on the street. We need to pass this bill.
Anti-Asian hate.
Yeah, we need to pass this bill. You know, and how is it so easy for them to get bills passed, you know, to protect them?
Because they are not a threat.
But not us.
They are not a threat. First of all, white people are losing their numbers. 50% of the United States are reporting a higher death rate for Caucasians than birth rate. That's why their numbers are shrinking, okay? They're genetically recessive. They're going to have those problems. This is one of the reasons why Thomas Jefferson and George Washington had so many babies with their black African female slaves, because Martha Washington and the Jefferson wife, they couldn't keep them babies. They kept losing them. They kept miscarriaging, because the white womb is an artificial womb. It is not the African womb. It is not the original woman. This is one of the reasons why black women in America have the highest infant mortality rate in the modern world. How do you explain women been having babies longer than any other woman, and we have the highest infant mortality rate in the most industrialized nation? That don't make sense. They're killing our babies on purpose to try to keep black numbers down. So anyway, with that decline of white birth, America has to automatically baptize, or should I say, put another